Wait, can we talk about parental figures? Because my dad is a total fucking asshole.
This may be sort of a hot take, but X-Men Apocalypse is my favorite of the X-Men movies. I watched it about 7 times when it first came out, and I loved it. The majority of people don't really like this movie, but I just love how fun, goofy, and bombastic it is. I especially love Quicksilver in this movie, who, in my opinion, is the best part of this movie. He was introduced almost perfectly in Days of Future Past, then came back in this movie for an even bigger and better role. But as much as I loved his character in this movie, his story arc left me wanting a little bit more, which is why I'm here to tell you about how I'd change up his story in this movie. As per my last video on this subject, I'll be trying to tweak things that already exist within the movie, as to try to not completely rewrite the character with possible contrivances. So, with that being said, here's how to fix Quicksilver in X-Men Apocalypse. So, one of the things that I never liked in this movie is that Magneto never gets to find out that Quicksilver is his son after his family gets killed. I'm fine with Peter not telling him that he's his son, but it should at least be implied that Eric knows, so that we know he knows, you know? But in order to do that, we need to change a few things to set that up. So, one small change in the plot that I'd make is that Magneto's wife, who gets killed, will be pregnant with a boy. A boy that they've already named Pietro. So, in my version of the movie, Magneto loses his wife, his daughter Nina, and his unborn son Pietro. Everything with Magneto and Quicksilver in this movie will stay the same up until the final battle, except for this one familial change. Is it weird to give Quicksilver an unborn half brother named Pietro in this movie? Kind of, but who gives a fuck? He has 3 sisters already. It's technically more of a change to Magneto's story, but it'll serve Quicksilver's story anyways. Now, there's a scene in this movie that I'd like to change that doesn't happen until the final battle. After Mystique and Quicksilver talk to Magneto, Peter doesn't tell Eric that he's his son, and we get this moment where Eric is reflecting. Every time I see this, I think he's thinking about Peter, but he's not, because before anything can be left ambiguous, they throw in a stupid flashback from First Class of Eric and Charles talking, because that's all these movies ever end up being about, apparently. But basically, I'd cut out this flashback and let the audience assume what he's thinking, because I guarantee you, without the flashback, people would assume he's thinking about Quicksilver. Another change I'd make is that after Quicksilver gets his leg broken by Apocalypse and after Magneto betrays Apocalypse, Eric should ask Peter if he's okay. Why? Because it's fucking nice. And all 3 of these changes will set up how Magneto finds out Quicksilver is his son. Now, at the end of Apocalypse, Peter tells Storm that he's not sure if he'll tell Eric that he's his son. Like I said, I'm fine with him not telling Eric, but I still think that they should at least formally meet each other. And to do this, I'd add back in a deleted scene of Beast giving Cyclops his goggles, just for the sake of pacing. Then, after this scene, we get a new scene that I came up with where Eric lands next to Peter after taking a break from rebuilding the school. He sees Peter's broken leg and asks him how it's feeling. Peter says, "It's fine, I heal fast. I'll have this thing off by the end of the day," referring to his cast. Eric nods his head and he asks, "A speedster, huh? Aren't you the boy who broke me out from the Pentagon all those years ago?" Uh, yeah, that would be me," Peter replies. "What's your name, son?" Eric asks. "Everyone calls me Peter, but my real name is Pietro. Ugh," Peter tells him. Eric has a little chuckle or a smile, and he says, "Can I sign your cast, Pietro?" Peter laughs and says, "Not if you call me that again." They both have a laugh as the scene transitions. And that, motherfuckers, is how I would fix Quicksilver in this movie. I realized that this was mostly me fixing Magneto's story in order to have that payoff at the end, because Quicksilver in this movie is pretty much perfect, except for him lacking a scene like this with Magneto at the end of the movie. So, in order to have some sort of subtle payoff with Quicksilver and Magneto, you need to tweak Magneto's story just a little bit to set up this scene. I think it would also help if these movies didn't focus so much on Eric and Charles. I often wonder if Eric ever found out about Peter. Even in the last scene of the movie, when Eric and Charles are talking, they're looking at the X-Men and Quicksilver is with them. So Eric and Charles are both looking at Eric's son. So I wonder if Charles ever decided to tell Eric that he has a fucking son. I don't fucking know, man, but that's how to fix Quicksilver in X-Men Apocalypse. Let me know what you think of these changes in the comments. Like the video if you liked any of the changes that I made, and subscribe if you love Quicksilver and fucking hate the way he was used in Dark Phoenix, because that'll be my next video. But yeah, that's all from me. Have a good one, motherfuckers.
What?
Him and my mom, they did.
No, I know.